Good evening, Cecil County. It is Democracy 2026. While right now people are thinking about Halloween and tricks or treats, we do have an election coming up, a primary this spring, followed by the general in November 2026. We're happy to kick off some more election content with you, and what better way to do it than with the one and only Erica Berge, Republican, running for delegate seat in District 35B. Erica, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me here this evening. I appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to have you, and I guess the most obvious question right now is, who are you?
This is always the question, right? That's a little difficult to answer
Right.
when you think of all of the things in my last 49 years of life that are applicable to this moment and this role that I'm being called to. So I am the wife of an Air Force veteran. I have 8 children, ages 8 to 28.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and right now I am a president of a nonprofit, a local nonprofit that serves the community. And, I have a background professionally in human resources as well as government security, and a lifelong, service of, youth ministry and programming like that. So.
Wow, mother of 8, nonprofit world, and it seems like you've had a pretty busy life with, I imagine, 8 kids on your hands. Kind of keeps you juggling a little bit there.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah. So with that background, what inspired you to run for District 35B today?
Well, again, no matter which community that I've been a part of through our years, I've always been a part of the community, listening to the community. My parents gave me a really generous definition of neighbor, and I think that shapes who I am today and what I'm doing. And, holding people's stories and listening to them is really important. And unfortunately, I felt like with my nonprofit work that we weren't listened to as a community when we had some concerns. And it was one of those things of like, okay, who's stepping up? Who's doing this? And one of the things I tell my kids is that, the best criticism of the worst is practice of the better. And so I felt like I needed to do my part and step up, and here we are.
Well, as well said, if you find yourself in Annapolis, typically that is a chamber of issues and policy topics. Is there particular issues that you're interested in? Is there legislation that you would seek to kind of defend or champion, or on the flip side maybe oppose as you find yourself as a delegate?
Yeah, well, one of the things with the nonprofit that I run, it's an asset-based community development model. And so what that means is that we really look for what the assets in our community are. And so that's not only how I run the nonprofit, but that's how I try to live my life. Where are the resources? What are the good things that are happening? And I grew up in Cecil County. The Air Force took us to California. We were there for 18 years. Not only did I miss my family and my friends back here, but I really missed the land and everything that Cecil County is. So when thinking about this run, I thought, okay, what are the good things, right? And it comes down to the people, right? It comes down to the places that we all love so much, and these communities that are doing the work, right, that have formed to make Cecil County so great. And this idea doesn't diminish the deficits that we know are here. Like, this isn't some Pollyanna, naive approach to things. But as we elevate and amplify those things that are good, those the people who are trying and working and really accomplishing things, we then begin to make these connections between, right? I'm aware what the deficits are, and so when I meet you and I talk with you, then I can begin to kind of plug in those places and those people and make those connections together. So again, I think that listening is number one, right? I've tried really hard to get within the communities. I've been attending town hall meetings, I've been attending the school board meetings, farm bureau meetings, all of these things that I can to learn, because before you lead, you have to learn and you have to listen. And so that's kind of the stage I'm at right now. And so I'm not going down there to say, oh, this is what Erica thinks is a good thing to look out, but I'm going down there saying, this is what my neighbors say that we need to look at and we need to champion. This isn't working right. This is something we need to move towards. And so that's going to be my approach to this.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you have a pretty people-driven platform here, very ground-level, people-led platform, which sounds very important. Now, for the average voter, sometimes they just look for a hot-button issue or two, and they want a legislator that has X on this stance or Y on this stance. Is there any sort of more policy-based platform that you formulated as we head towards the primary in May?
Well, again, I mean, even within my own campaign, I have people saying, what is your stance on
Sure.
this particular thing? And so my response to that is, okay, well, let's talk to the people who are, one, affected by this, the people that are in charge of having this go this way, and then try to then formulate the idea. I'm not going to be like a knee-jerk reaction of like, oh, I'm going to take this stance
Sure.
without having the stories and holding them and listening to them and then processing them. I do, in saying that, right, kitchen table topics. What are you saying around the table? Like, what are families worried about? I mean, energy is a huge one right now. Families, we want safety for our families. We want food on our tables. We want our children to have good schools. And when they're done with schooling, we want them to be in jobs that are here in our community.
Yeah.
So these are things that, yes, I mean, there are issues that I want to stand behind and champion. But at this point, I don't think that I'm in a position to necessarily say, oh, this is definitely this, because I'm not done listening.
Well, that segues us into our next question here. You're running as a Republican. Were you to win, you would be in the minority party in the state legislature. The Democrats have a supermajority when it comes to Annapolis governance, meaning they essentially have the voting power to do things without the minority party, trying to foil it or whatever the politics get involved there. How would you work with the opposing party to actually get things done?
Well, I think that, again, there really needs to be this humanity that we see within one another, and we have to, again, I need to listen to what our neighbors are saying and what they need, what they want, what they need, and then go down there and find those like-minded individuals, regardless of what side that they are on. However, I understand that we are the minority down there as Republicans, and so even if it's not going to work, even if they're going to be like, no, and they're going to shoot it down, we still need to be heard. We're not just going to, cower to whatever the majority is saying without having our peace of mind, put out there on the table. And so I think that that's really important, that we stand up and we say what needs to be said, regardless of if someone is going to, carry that all the way through. And again, that's why I'm here, right? Like, in my situation, there was some legislation, and we had community members rallied around this, like that as an advocate for community. That was kind of my part of the deal, was getting everyone organized. And then we weren't heard. We went down there, we said it, and it was really frustrating, And then after that, it was kind of felt like a little defeating. And then I was like, no, what's the next step? The next step is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to listen and I'm going to do this. So again, I really think that it comes down to saying, we do what we can. We say what the people up here want to be said, and represent well. Yeah.
Erica, the delegate position is always kind of interesting. They're in Annapolis for 90 days. Session usually runs from about January to April. Then they're in the interim for the rest of the year, and it's pretty common for those delegates to have the part-time job or they're lawyers and things like that. So whether you're in Annapolis or you're back in the interim, with your other professional life, how will you be accessible to your constituents?
Again, I am all about community. I'm very active within the community. And again, I really wish that more people were, this is my plea to you, be more civically engaged, right? Like, I know it's not the most interesting or exciting thing, but attending these town hall meetings, a lot of times they're empty. And I think that if people could come and begin to have their voices heard, the closer the election is to our homes, the smaller it is, the more impactful it is. And I just think that people don't realize that they can have that voice. So my hope is that I'm continued to be welcomed at these town hall meetings and being a part of them, to invite people into the spaces, that I'm in, within the communities as well. I'd love a coffee. So, if somebody wants to meet me for a coffee, I would love to do that. But I do think it's important to show up for people. Presence is an underrated gift that we have to give to our neighbors, to individuals, to our towns and our community.
Yeah. Well, while the primary may be a few months away, by the time you get through the holidays, we'll be here before you know it. Is there any last messaging you would like to give to the listeners and viewers here at Cecil TV before we wrap up this interview?
I think that it's just to have people willing to vote and to show up. Again, I know that government is not the most exciting thing, but it really is a place. Showing up to those meetings, showing up at the ballot box is impactful and it's important.
Yeah.
And it goes so much further than a Facebook comment.
Erica, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me here this evening.
Once again, Republican candidate for District 35B, House of Delegates, representing Cecil County in Annapolis. Erica, thank you again for your time. I'm Grant Handley. Democracy 2026 is ahead of us. Have a good night.